And this is why it took me so long to make a video about this bloody weapon. It's because I'm a small child that gets distracted very easily. Da-dum-dum-dum-dum. So hey guys, so welcome to another Warframe video, and today I want to take a quick look at Telos Akbolto. This is a weapon you can buy from the Arbiters of Hexes if you're the rank of Maxim for 100,000 standing, or if you don't have the Arbiters of Hexes as one of your syndicates, you can also buy it from other players. The Telos version of the Akbolto is just a straight up upgrade over the original Akbolto, sporting higher damage of 50 versus the original's 45, and out of that, 45 is puncture and only 5 is impact. It also has higher critical chance of 10% versus the original's 5, the critical multiplier is the same at 200%, and it has higher status chance of 12.5 versus the original's 7.5. And finally, it comes with an additional dash polarity, so it has a D and a dash, and it comes with an innate truth effect, which once you gather enough affinity and you fill up the little syndicate icon at the bottom right corner of your screen, will cause an explosion that will hit every enemy within 25 meters of you with 1000 gas damage that has 100% status chance, so it will proc toxin on them, and it will also heal you for 25% of your maximum health and boost your parkour maneuvers for a short time. Other than that, it's a semi-automatic mastery rank 6 weapon. It fires 10 rounds every second with a 30-round magazine and reload time of 2.6 seconds. The build I'm using for the Telos Akbolto is a 4 Forma build where I've changed the D into a V and I've added 2 more Vs and a dash. And I'm using Hornet Strike for more damage, Barrel Diffusion for multi-shot, Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot, then Quick Draw to bump down the reload speed from 2.6 down to 1.8 seconds. And this is fine for me, but if you're fine with the reload speed and you're not a chronic reloader like me, you can put in more damage. And finally, I'm using Convulsion and Pathogen rounds for corrosive damage and Primed Heated Charge with Scorch for heat damage. And this is mostly because the weapon doesn't do any slash damage, so it's pretty bad versus fleshier units like the Corpus once you strip away the shields or the Infested. But when you combine Primed Heated Charge with Scorch, it adds so much heat damage it actually becomes somewhat effective against them. This setup makes the weapon surprisingly devastating even at high levels. The high heat damage from Primed Heated Charge and Scorch makes it great versus the Infested. The high puncture damage makes it really effective versus robotic units because robotic units take 25% extra damage from puncture, and so do armored units from the Grenade. Ferrite armored units like Heavy Gunners take 50% extra damage, and alloyed armored units like Bombards take 15% extra damage. Though at high levels, the raw damage build stops being effective versus the heavily armored dudes like Bombard, and it will be far more effective to run with dual stat mods. And all we have left is the fleshier Corpus like Corpus Tex, which still die pretty fast even though I'm using corrosive and heat. Now, I've mentioned dual stat mods, even though the weapon only has 12.5% status chance, and that's because it's a secondary weapon and we have access to 2 different multi-shot mods. And that makes the Telos Akbolto status viable, because if you add dual stat mods on top of that, the build is first of all gonna be much cheaper because they do drain less mod capacity, so you're not gonna have to use as much Forma, and it's also gonna be more effective against the heavily armored Grineer units. But at the same time, it's gonna be somewhat less effective against anything else because you're not gonna be doing as much damage. Now, if you can't tell, I absolutely love the Telos Akbolto. I've had it for a very long time and it's one of my favorite secondary weapons. Does it have its downsides? Yes, it definitely does. For some people, the travel time on the bolts is definitely going to be a downside because you have to learn to lead the target. It's not overly accurate, and the multi-shot bolts especially tend to fly all over the place, and it's somewhat ammo inefficient, and it's not the hardest thing to run out of ammo with this if you're not running any sort of ammo mutation either through carrier or through a mod on the weapon itself. But everything else about this weapon, oh man, is it fun. The sound, the nice little thump you get with every bolt you fire. The kick is just right, you know, it doesn't shake your screen like crazy so it becomes annoying and difficult to aim, but it's just enough. It's not too subtle to where it feels like you're just throwing noodles at the enemy. And it's pretty damn powerful as well. I mean, the footage you're watching right now is like the worst case scenario for the Telos Akbolto, because it's a bunch of fleshy corpus in an Eximus stronghold. And I mean, just firing the weapon and hearing the nice thump, then seeing your bolt fly across the room, hit an enemy in the head and pin him to a wall is really satisfying. It's just a really fun weapon to use. So I would definitely recommend you try it out. It's incredibly fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. So I thank you very much for watching as always, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.